Hello, everyone. Thank you once again for joining me on this episode of Oracle Networking and Security Series. So, today it's a new topic, which is Zero Trust Packet Routing. Now, this is Project 8. For those who have been following these series, I started from Project 0, which is like a ground zero, where I laid out Oracle capabilities, with security within security function. So I laid out it across both OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and Oracle Fusion Apps Cloud. So, but for this is specifically building this series is specifically for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So I'm exploring, I'm doing a project-based exploration around networking capability and security. And it's not just demonstrating those capability in isolation, but I build project around them, end to end to demonstrate what you can use for some cases and to address some business needs. So for this episode is zero trust packet routing. Now, what is this capability all about? But before I get into that, you get to identity and security. From there, you can see zero trust packet routing here, and that will take you to the home page, like overview page of this capability. And the first thing you want to do is to enable it. Like I've enabled it in the environment, but if you look into this properly, you will see an enable button here. So if you don't have that enabled in the environment yet, you can just go ahead and do that. But let me go ahead and explain, give you like what this really do. It's called ZPR, Zero Trust Packet Routing. It enforces intent-based access control at the OCI network fabric layer. Outside your VCN, before traffic reaches any subnet or network security groups, unlike network security groups, which depend on source IP or subnet membership, ZPR policy follows the security attribute label on the resource, regardless of where it is or how the network is reconfigured. So, this project, we create the security attribute namespace, write tier to tier, allow policy in the correct syntax, latest syntax, and apply those attributes to resources and prove the control works with path analyzer. So that is the objective today, that I want to achieve. So like I said, so the first thing is for you to enable it, and when that is done, the next thing you want to do is to create a is to create a namespace. Yes, is to create namespace. So for instance, if I move from here and I go to security attribute namespace, and I can say create namespace, but make sure you add your root compartment. That will help a lot. And when you click on create namespace, attribute namespace, then you can give it a name. So for instance, I can say, let me look for a name. I can just give here. I can just give it this. This is security tier namespace. So, and I will just give it a description, something very descriptive enough, like application tier labels for ZPR, zipper enforcement. So I will just go ahead and create. Cannot start with Oracle, okay, or OCI. We get that. So that is a constraint there. I can see, okay, what kind of, okay, test. So I can do test, and I can say create. Okay, so this is how to create a namespace. So the first thing you do for zero trust packet routing is to create attribute namespace. So when that is done, you go ahead and create the tier attribute itself. So now we are within. You make sure that you are within your namespace. You are within your namespace. Then you can go ahead and say create security attribute. So you open that and you click create security attribute and you name it tiers. Let me name this one tiers. So okay, good. So I can give it a description, which will help us to understand what is going on. Application tier label, web app, DB, and admin. So now, then type is should be type string. Then let's look at the validators. So list of values for at least for this, I will give values here. Let me do Let me do almost the same thing. I can give you values, ENUM values here, but I always prefer to do it, line by line, so that you don't get it confused. So now that we have a security attribute called tier, and the description is that is for web, app, DB, and admin, the list of our value is there, then I can say create. So that is created. That's so that we've created a security attribute for that namespace. Now, the next thing I want to look at is create policy. So here, if you go down here, to the left side, you see policies there. Then you can say create policy. I have one policy already in that space, and I will call it. I'll call it. Let me call it this policy. Zip policy one. I will just say ZPR tier tier ZPR tier. Okay, and I can give it a description this way. Sometimes when you are dealing tier to tier, ZPR enforcement for spoke VCN, so I can say ZPR tier, policy. Then I can, what do I do now? So I think this is where the job really is. You understand my point now? So I have couple of statements here that I want to use. So the next thing you want to do is to add statement policy. So you go there and you say policy statement editor. That serve my purpose better. I'm going to do some quick edit here. Oh my god. Okay, quick edit. So we do this. So this is not supposed to be there. This is not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to. Try to do some cleanup, and this is not supposed to be there. So okay. So here, if you look at this statement, it says in oci-sec-tiers, VCN, this and that. It's kind of trying to tell you what needs to be connected or what needs not to be connected. So, but let me get into that. I'll take some time to explain here. So the first thing I want to do is to make some corrections here. So the name of my workspace is different from what I have here, like when we start creating this. So let's just clean that up. So it's very important that you know that this represents your workspace, your zipper workspace, whatever workspace name you use, it must reflect in your policy statements. It must reflect in your policy statements. So look at this. Then you look at this. I think it's a long edit. Well, just stick with me. We'll be there very soon. Then I think here we have the last batch here. Yeah, I always want to make sure. So okay, so that is the last one there. Then we can move. Okay. So now, if you look at this, it says in test in this workspace with this name, then I give it like a tag, like a label, VCN. And I say, okay, spoke, because my tagging system kind of reflect in this. Then VCN allows this particular workspace, and whatever happens there, the web endpoint to connect to this workspace again. And if you look at it here, we see that we have web, we have app, and it will connect to the protocol of 8080. So here it's saying, verbally saying that I can connect any resources with a label of web, with another from a VCN that is that is labeled spoke. It can go to web. That shows that web, any from web can connect to another resource that is labeled app, and they can communicate over port 8080. So that is what this policy we enforce within our zipper. So if everything is good, if everything is fine, I should be able to add this policy. So there is no objection raised. So maybe I can make this name more. I'll call it tier. Let me call it tier to tier. Maybe there's something I can do here, tier to tier. Okay, because I want that name to make sense to me. So let me create. Wow, there we go. So now I have created, I've enabled zero trust packet routing. I've created a namespace attribute, security attribute namespace. I've created policy. Now, what is the next thing that I need to do here? So is to go on another thing, before I move forward, is to tell you that there is explicit deny, in policy statement in Zipper. That shows that everything is denied. So especially in the new syntax, you only allow what you allow. So if I don't allow anything, even if I enable Zipper and I created a namespace or what have you, it will not make any effect. It will not take any effect. So the policy statement is it's what allows what needs to communicate or what can communicate with another based on attribute. So just so I leave that there. So again, you will see that I say that web, traffic coming from the web can communicate with any resources, that is tagged app over 8080, and any traffic coming from app can communicate with, with DB, anyone that is tagged with DB over port 1521 and 1522. So that is what that we do. Web to DB will not be possible because I did not explicitly, write and allow policy for that. And any part that is not listed will be blocked. So you can see the beauty of Zipper, which is zero trust packet routing. So what do I do next is to apply security attribute to VCN subnets. So now what do I need to, where do I need to go? I need to go to, protected resources. So if you get here, you see protected resources, and you now say add the resources. So add security attribute to resource. So that is what you get there. Then if you look at this, which compartment are you looking at? Maybe all, and yeah, maybe all resources, then let's look at the type. I will take VCN. You can see my VCN. So now that I have the VCN there, I can say I have a VCN called spoke here. I can select that, and there's the namespace. So after that, then let me click next, and let me select a security attribute namespace. I have one that is called okay, security attribute namespace. I have what we have here is not here. Is it taking time to come up here? Okay. I think if you look at the namespace we created is test oci-sec-tiers. So that was correct. And here, when you move forward and you click here, you will see test oci-sec. Then when you look at this, you can see tier that we created, and the attribute value. You can see the ENUM variables or values that I included. So for this, what am I going to put? Is it a web or what? So I will say I have VCN, I have that namespace, attribute VCN. Then, I will say web, security attribute value, web. So I have web, I have app, I have DB, I have this. Yeah. So we have web there. So now everything look good. I can go ahead and say next. So changing security attribute could change permission. Yes. So when it takes precedence over some of the permissions you have, So then I can say if everything is good, I can submit here. So I have an error that says no resources were provided for bulk edit of security attribute, or a no resource is provided. Yes. So I'll fix that right now. I will move forward. No. So when you select your security attribute, and if you want more, you can add more. So, or from there, you can click next, like I was doing. And then from here, you can submit your security attribute. And that is how that is done. Uh, that is done. So security attribute applied to a subnet inherited by all resources within that subnet. But I want to say something that based on the way the features is evolving, this might not be something that is applicable in your environment, because I cannot say how Oracle is kind of changing some of the features based on maybe licensing or what have you. But what I want to say is that it's better for you to apply it to your VCN, like your VCN. Just go through, allow the VCN to take all the attributes, while everything within that VCN can inherit that attribute. So that is what I would say. The next thing is for me to go to look at what we call path analyzer. So hello folks. So this is This is it. When you want to create a security attribute, because I've emphasized the fact that zipper is an attribute-based access control, that give you opportunity to do things beyond your subnet and even your VCN, that every resource that is labeled, in line with the policy and the statement within this attribute-based security statements, that is what will take effect. So because of the fact I'm using a free version of Oracle CI, I might not be able to, create this, but this is, I've demonstrated how you, I'm explained it. I've demonstrated how you navigate and create this, how you follow the due process. And at the end of the day here, you just create a submit. But my license, I think, is blocking that. So just for the sake of transparency, I just want you to know that. Okay. So from there, I will move away from that, and I will move to another topic, which is called part analysis. So because I couldn't submit my zipper uh, attribute, yeah, security attribute, we might not be able to get adequate, analysis from a report from the next one, but I will still go ahead and make sure that we get through it, so that I will show you how and why you need that. Because at the very best, when we create this functionality, when you enable these capabilities, one of the things that we're supposed to benefit is for us to be able to understand how our resources and the network, with which they travel, we can understand, what have access to what and what doesn't have access to what. It's like having a single pane of glass that showed you, how your traffic, travels, how your traffic connect, so that at the end of the day, if there is any drift, maybe because of your network security group, or maybe other configurations that you did, that there was a drift, this will be another layer that will catch it, and you'll be able to see without necessarily, let me say, going through your estate, begin to do some audit. But this could do a lot for you. So let me get to that. So to do network part analysis, you need to go to network here, and you will see, you go to network command center, and from there you should be able to see network path analysis. If you look at what we have on the overview page here, you can see a typical example of a network visualizer that will show, what you have in your environment. But we'll go to network path analyzer, and you can see something went wrong. So I have some, so you can create here. You can give it a name. Maybe you want to monitor your data. Maybe this is for your maybe for your DB, DB, or let me say app, app, okay, app estate, and you look at TCP protocol. You make sure that you make sure that you have IP address. So for me, the IP address of my DMZ, I can use that. Okay. So I have that here, and I can look at my source IP address, because I'm actually trying to, because this has to do with database, I want to see how my database, traffic and connections are faring, or is faring, so that I just want to know that my database is not having unwarranted access to the public internet and stuff, because that is what kind of, inspired this whole project. So I can put the 1521, which is a database port there, and the destination IP address too. I can do something within the range of my DMZ subnet. Okay, so I can do that, and I can do 1522. 1522, that is destination IP address. I want it to be bidirectional, and I can say run what? Analysis. So you see now the analysis is in progress, is in progress. So it might take some time. You can see analysis is in progress. It might take some time. I might be able to come back to that. And yeah, so with this is the end of this particular project 8. And I really want to do a quick recap. I know it's a lot that we have done. We have some issues along the way. Like I told you, that my demonstrations of my project are not projects that maybe I edited. No, what I do is to make sure that all the errors I encounter along the way, I want you to see them so that you can learn from them. I don't edit them out. But let me just get into this. So zero trust packet routing is a capability within your OCI that allows you to do attribute-based access control. And I've demonstrated that. So within that, I enable it in my tenancy, the um, zero trust packet routing, which is called a zip R. So I enabled that. The next thing I did was to create a attribute-based namespace. I created a namespace. I walk you through that. Then the other thing is that I created a security attribute namespace, which is almost the same thing. Then I created a policy statement. Yeah, policy statement. And from there, I was able to create like 3 policies. I explained to you, how the policy strings works, and I move forward to apply VCN security attribute. That was where we have some challenges, and I told you why we have those challenges and how it can work in environment, because maybe you have enterprise license that is not free. Yes, so I told you that is why we have that. Then the last but not the least is the ZPR, that is part analyzer. So that is the last thing I did here, the part analyzer. And if you can still look at my screen now, you see that part it failed, because it does not exist or what have you. But if everything works, that is how it's supposed to look. So because I'm using a free version of this, so some of the capabilities are not fully functional. They kind of refuse to work sometimes. But I'm more interested in the pathway through which we get to where we are. The business case, the problem it could solve, and how I can walk you through the interface. Because one thing I've come to realize is that before you use Terraform or any other infrastructure as code, to build anything, it's very important that you understand how it works, walking through the pages of the console first, understand the capabilities, understand the features, know what you can do, so that when eventually you are generating infrastructure as code, to do that for you, you'll be able to understand what actually is going on. So with that, I come to the end of this episode, which is project 8, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you. And if you have any question, just let me know.